Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking about Pot of Duality and doing a discussion I'm going to call, is it still viable? Pot of Duality used to be one of the few cards in the game, I would even say the game's history, that people considered near staple status. Quick history lesson, it came out in Duelist Revolution, an amazing set. That set had Solemn Warning and Scrap Dragon. I think it had like all the scraps, well at least the initial batch. It had Pot of Duality. This card was a secret rare, which, you know, kind of made it like the chase card of the set until people realized that Warning was infinitely better. And Pot of Duality, when it first came out, was like a $100 card, and it kind of came out at a perfect time alongside Warning, because what players realized is if you maxed out on Warnings, you could just pretty much stop your opponent from doing, well, you know, from playing the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that slow-paced decks could basically keep up. In fact, I believe like right after Duelist Revolution, it was like YCS Anaheim or Shonen Jump Anaheim, and the finals was Black Wings and Heroes. And it's like, man, you can't get more slow-paced anti-meta than those decks. And, you know, each deck really didn't need to special summon, especially going first, because, you know, Heroes wanted to play Stratos, so no special summoning there, get your +1. Black Wings wanted to play Whirlwind Shura, get your +1 there. So there wasn't a huge emphasis on special summoning, especially considering Warning just stopped pretty much all the special summoning. And I think Oppression may have been at 1 during that format as well. So anyways, back to Pot of Duality and in the game today. I'm asking the question if this card is viable right now. I personally believe, in my opinion, I don't think that it is. And I say that because I don't feel comfortable playing pretty much any deck. It doesn't matter how great of anti-meta it is. I don't feel comfortable giving up my ability to special summon because how fast the game has become. And I feel like Burning Abyss they're the biggest culprit. They're the reason why Pot of Duality isn't that big, or it isn't viable in my opinion. I say that because I like to look at decks and I always like to think of how are you going to answer a Dante? You know what I mean? Essentially, if you're going second and your opponent throws out Dante, you know, cross your fingers, hope they don't throw out double Dante, but sometimes it does happen and you'll need to answer that. You don't want your opponent to have that Dante living, because if they mill, they might hit Sirs or Sirs, Skarm, or Graph, and then it just becomes an uphill battle. Starts to become, you know, unwinnable at that point once they start getting free pluses from a monster that's already going to pay for himself if he dies. So when you look at the decks that have been released since Duelist Revolution, you know, obviously you throw it out and like Shadows, you'd never run something like Pot of Duality. But the decks that used to play Pot of Duality in their early builds were Serteller Knights and Cleese. And if I look at those decks now, I'm just like, you can't answer a Dante. You can't answer a big field with a Construct or, you know, Construct plus Falco if you don't have the ability to special summon. And these decks don't always have to special summon, especially if they're going first. There's pretty much no need to, but they have to have the ability. They have to have, you know, they have to have that play to counter it. And that play can be whether it's, you know, Trampoline, Kitty plus Scout. I mean, you make crazy advantage off of that, especially if you have something like Carrier or you tribute for stealth. That's one way to get rid of a Construct or a Dante. Or in Serteller Knights, you can always you know, summon Vega, go Deneb, that would be like the ideal play, and then spin a monster with Castell, and at least that kind of stops the bleeding. I actually had an opponent, he kind of put this to the theory, basically thinking that I wouldn't be able to get rid of his field. I maxied him, he was playing BA, and he summoned double Dante and a Virgil, and he gave me like, I want to say 10 cards or something like that. And I had Vega, I Castelled the Virgil, I deprisoned the Dante, I took a direct shot to the face, and then my next turn I trevored him, and that was just pretty much a wrap from there. But it shows you that in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, it doesn't matter what you're playing. If you're playing anything viable, you know, it used to be the old exchange was, I want to dig deeper into my deck. You know, there used to be kind of player preference between Upstart Goblin and Pot of Duality. You know, Upstart, give your opponent slight points. No one really wants to do that, but you instantly get that gratification of the draw and you still get the special summon. Pot of Duality, you get to look a little deeper. You get 3 potential cards, which means that you can get your combo pieces, you can get your floodgates or your hand traps, the cards that can, you know, totally dominate the deck that you're playing against. but your opponent does, however, know what you're getting, so maybe they try and play around it. And of course, you can't special summon now because every deck puts so much, pressure on board so quickly. I don't think that anybody can afford to give that up. Even if you're playing the absolute most anti-meta deck that you're thinking of, if it's not art type based, maybe, but if you're playing anything art type based, prime example would be Evil Swarm. Even though that deck has additional normals out the ass, they always need to be able to, if not get the Ophion, to get to like some other type of Xyz. Otherwise, they're just going to get blasted by, all the crazy decks in the meta. So you guys let me know. Do you think that Pot of Duality is still a viable card? I don't think it is, because I think that in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh right now, I don't think that you always have to use your special summon in your first turn, but I think that you always need to be able to special summon, because you never know when your opponent is going to go, Construct, Falco, set a dragon, and it's like, damn, I need to be able to answer that immediately. Otherwise, I'm gonna get potentially destroyed during my next turn, or they'll go Dante, Virgil, double Dante, or something like that. And if you don't have that special summon, unless you draw the perfect counterplay, you're pretty much just gonna get destroyed. And I don't think that it's worth digging those 2 extra cards when you could play something like Upstart, get your instant gratification, and a lot of times the 1,000 life points doesn't even matter. But I could be completely wrong. If you guys can think of a deck where Pot of Duality is actually still good, let me know. Thank you guys for watching as always. Subscribing makes life happy.